Good morning, everybody. We are still in Module 11, and we're talking about adding and subtracting rational expressions. This morning, what we have to work on is how do we add and subtract fractions that have unlike denominators. So let's go back to arithmetic and really understand the purpose of why we need the same denominator, the LCD. So in my PowerPoint, I have the expression 1/2 plus 1/3, and that's what I want to physically add together. Well, if you go back and visually graph this, draw a picture, 1/2 means you take a whole item, whether it be a rectangle or a circle. I like circles. You take the circle, you divide it into 2 equal parts, because that's what the bar says, divide by 2, and then you shade in 1 part out of that. That's what the numerator means. So I have 1 part of 2. So you could visually see the picture of a half. Now if I draw a picture of 1/3, again, I'm taking that same whole object, the circle. This time I'm dividing it into 3 equal parts, as you could see, and I'm only shading in 1 part again. And there's my visual of 1/3. Now if everybody looks closely, I want to add those 2 parts shaded in green together. Well, it's quite obvious. They're not the same size. And we've been talking about since the beginning of this course, in real life, just like in math, you can only add terms that are alike. So you cannot add that slice of 1/2 to that slice of 1/3 because they're not the same size pizza. So what happens here is we got to learn how to visually take those circles and cut both circles. Think of pizza pies. Cut both pizza pies in the same number of equal slices. And if you look down at my next visual, that's what I've done. I've taken both circles. I still have the half shaded and the 1/3 shaded. But now what I had to do is figure out how I can cut both of those circles into the same number of equal slices. And if you look, I cut each circle into 6 equal slices. Well, now the picture that was a half now shows 3 shaded regions out of the total 6. So that means 1/2 is equivalent, means the same thing as shading in 3/6. If you ate a half of the pizza, you ate 3 out of 6 slices. They mean the same thing. If you look at my other visual, there's this picture of the third. I cut that circle into 6 equal slices, and now you can see where the third was shaded. That's really 2 out of 6 slices shaded. So now we know the fraction 1/3 is equivalent to this fraction 2/6. If you look now, we have a common denominator. The common denominator of 2 and 3 is 6. And the reason why it's a 6 is because that's how many slices we can cut each circle into. And now that we have a common denominator, we can add our fractions. 1/2 plus 1/3 really means I have 3 out of 6 slices. I'm adding 2 out of 6 slices. And altogether now, because my slices are the same size, I have 5 out of 6 slices. So that's what I want to show you, what the purpose was of the LCD. It's all visual. It's all about the concept to add and subtract. Your terms must be alike. In fraction world, those denominators have to be the same because you're saying you're taking the whole item and dividing it into that many slices. And you want the slices to be the same size to add. Now, our job in the preceding module, in the preceding lessons, is to figure out how do we get this LCD without drawing the pictures? How do we make these equivalent fractions without drawing the pictures? And that's our goal. Visually, you had to understand the purpose. Now that you understand the purpose, we're going to go do the arithmetic. How do we get this least common denominator of 2 and 3 being 6 without drawing pictures? How do we get these equivalent fractions 3/6 and 2/6 without drawing the pictures? So I'll get you in the next video and we'll go on to the algebra part.